going to be a big weekend coming up. We've got WWE Saturday Night's main event. We have NXT Great American Bash earlier in that day, but I'll be honest with you, that's kind of a throwaway show, especially in comparison to these other ones going on, and we just don't have enough time in the day. With All In, which will be up against that NXT Great American Bash, and then Sunday night in Atlanta on July the 13th, which will be Evolution. We're coming up on All In of all these. So WWE, obviously, we knew a little bit later on. But All In has been announced for some time. AEW, unfortunately, hasn't sold maybe as many tickets for this major event that they would like to. And I can tell you, first and foremost, because, a lot of people out there, I don't want to say a lot of people. That's the wrong way to put it. People out there, and I don't even know if you can call them people, the internet wrestling community, likes to talk smack about AEW and ticket sales and things like that. And let me tell you one thing. One, I would be attending All In over NXT Great American Bash and Saturday Night's main event if, I was going to be down there. And even if it was within like a 4-hour drive, I would be doing it. And also the fact that I can go to AEW All In for like $25 to get in, $100 for a good seat is great. Should be celebrated. I don't care what the reasoning. I don't care if because the product's not that great in your eyes. That's your opinion. The fact that I can go see Kenny Omega and Okada for the 5th time in what is one of the best rivalries and will probably be one of the best matches in pro wrestling, period, for $25, it's awesome. I don't know why people think that is a bad thing. I went to SmackDowns back in the day. True story, paid $15, had good seats for a Friday night SmackDown. Those ones that a lot of kids today post on social media because they weren't there and they're like, man, SmackDown in like 2015 or 2008, you got The Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio, and that was just a random main event between these two amazing Hall of Famers back then. First off, back in the day, it wasn't looked at as amazing as it would be today, right? The Undertaker back in his full-time form, great. No lie. I mean, he was one of the top competitors, but it's the same way of looking at like LA Knight or Jey Uso nowadays, right? It was just how it was back then. But also, like I said, tickets, $15 to get in the door. Sometimes I'd use those $15 tickets to sneak down to like second row to go to that SmackDown. So it's not a bad thing. The AEW All In is a cheap event, in my eyes, as a pro wrestling fan. I'm looking forward to AEW All In, and I can tell you, of the weekend, that is the event I'm looking forward to most. What about you? What event do you think is the must-watch live event of that weekend?
I mean, for me, I'm still Saturday night's main event is still that to me is still number one personally. I mean, I do want to see what happens with Goldberg and Gunther. Like, I think that's going to be good. And I think we're finally going to get Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's going to be SummerSlam. That's what I'm hearing.
Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, cool for SummerSlam, but still, Goldberg, Gunther, that's pretty good. I mean, we're going to have John Cena and Cody Rhodes. They're going to, I mean, it's not a match, but they're going to have, I believe, a contract signing. And then I'm looking forward to Bayley and Lyra Valkyria again. I think that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to. I mean, there are some good matches on this card. LA Knight and Seth Rollins.
CM Punk, I believe, is on there too.
Seth Rollins and LA Knight.
Okay.
Is going to be on Saturday's main event card. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton will be on the Saturday's main event card as well. We already did this already. You know my feelings. Gunther, Goldberg. It's going to be 3 minutes of time total. Right. I love the Gunther speaking too about the highlight package on Goldberg being like 3 minutes, which is just pretty much about how long he's in the ring for. So good on Gunther on that. I'm hoping. I don't know how Goldberg goes out in his career. I thought he should have gone out a while ago in his career. Do I believe that this is his last match, regardless of outcome? No, because he's already had his last match a few times. He's not doing the John Cena thing, if you will. He's doing the Ric Flair thing so far. And I don't want to see Goldberg. I want to see Gunther retain. I don't care how Goldberg goes out. I've already seen him inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is 2017 I saw him inducted in the Hall of Fame, 2018. So I mean he's
Yeah, that's
already
what I
in the Hall of
think.
Fame. He's
Yeah.
already had a few last matches. Some of those are pretty bad, and he's only gotten older since. So I guess listen, I'm not against being interested to see what happens. I'm not happy about the fact that Goldberg's around in a really meaningful match, if you will. Um, but I gotta say, like
You're not. So wait,
WWE.
are you excited for LA Knight and Seth Rollins then?
I'm more excited to see LA Knight and Seth Rollins than I am Goldberg and Gunther.
Because I'm gonna tell you
Goldberg
right
and
now that
Gunther
that
is
match
either
will
going
be
to
good.
be it's either going to be a formality that Gunther wins, and I'm like, phew, thank goodness, or it's oh goodness, what have we done here with Goldberg now as champion? That's the two outcomes for Saturday's main event. In the main event,
And here's the other thing too. I really enjoy what Bailey and Lyra do too as well. I know the match on Raw this week was a draw, which was kind of a cop out, but they're gonna run it back again on Saturday night. I'm
you
I'm
think they're
down
going to
for
run
that.
it back on Saturday night, or you think they're going to run it back at Evolution? You forget we have a all women's pay per view coming up here.
I mean, there's different reports out there saying that it's gonna happen on Saturday night's main event. Is what I've been reading.
I get, it's just strange because, we have this Evolution pay per view. This is Sunday night on July 13th. And it's so strange to me because WWE is still has all these other major events. So it kind of takes away a little bit from Evolution, the fact that they have Saturday night's main event and the NXT Great American Bash the previous day because like the focus on this all women's pay per view should be like, this is your end of the road. This is your WrestleMania. You shouldn't be like, I'm not on this card if it's an all women's pay per view. If you're the champion, the first one was that. If you were the champion, you were on that card. If you were the champion, you were looking, or anybody in the women's roster, you were just that was like your end of the line. It seems like Evolution, while it is an all women's pay per view, isn't necessarily being treated like the end all be all. It's similar to like what we see with like Royal Rumble or WrestleMania nowadays, where like Gunther is not even on the card at like Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? He's not even anywhere. He's not even in the same city. So it's the same idea. Like, you have some of these champions, and both champions will be defending their championship, the main champions at least at Evolution. But like this Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, they should be everything should be leading towards Evolution in the women's division, I think. I'd say, if SummerSlam was only one night, I would be fine with SummerSlam being a 100% male pay per view, and then maybe the night before Evolution being a 100% women's pay per view. So everyone, again, has one goal in mind, not
The
just
thing with
like
this,
it's an all women's pay per view, but like if I'm not on it, it's great because I'm on the next card.
and then here's the weird thing too. I don't know if you've seen the different reports that are out there for Evolution. They're trying last minute to get some veterans in the event, which that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because a lot of these veterans, I don't expect them to be actively wrestling or preparing to wrestle. So like, how is that going to work if they're a veteran that's not maybe ready to wrestle yet, and you're trying to give them the green light in 2 weeks? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and we got a similar situation with one of the championship matches at Evolution as we do with Gunther and Goldberg in the sense of like, well, Tiffany Stratton's not going to lose the belt to Trish Stratus now, is she? Like, I just don't see that happening. And again, it doesn't seem to really highlight your women's division if you have these kind of gimmicky matches in there. Io
Well,
Sky and Rhea Ripley, I think that's a great main event. I think that is a way to highlight the women's division. But Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus,
well,
it.
there's different rumors making the rounds right now that, and kind of what I suggested last week on the pod, a Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez tagging up, which they're together as one, which I kind of saw that coming last week. But in light of Liv's injury, it's the rumor mill is really firing up where it's going to be Roxanne and Raquel versus the Bella Twins is what I've been seeing. So I
Yeah,
don't know if
because
I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see.
it's a four-way, right? So we already got Roxanne and Raquel as champions now, officially,
Yeah.
versus Alexa and Charlotte. Now, that is a unique team right there, obviously. They had some of that back and forth against each other, in the last few weeks, so it's that odd pairing, like enemies, frenemies, trying to pair up for one night to, put their differences aside, if you will. And then we still have two teams TBD. One of those teams for sure is going to be from NXT. And I think we're going to have that team decided at NXT's Great American Bash to decide which team goes on
we also having a battle. We're having a battle royal as well, too.
And that battle royal, that's just a perfect, like, everyone else. Now, so far, I'm seeing that we have 5 matches on the WWE Evolution card, and knowing WWE likes to keep the cards pretty slim, do we see that being the same case here and having a pretty slim Evolution card?
Yeah, I see it. I think 5 or 6 is probably going to be the zone, and I think that battle royal is going to take a decent amount of time. I feel like, like you said, it's going to be whoever's not in a match, a singles or a tag match or any other matches being featured, because the latest card that I've seen is the Women's World Championship is Io Sky Rhea Ripley. You mentioned that. NXT Women's Championship, JC Jane versus Jordan Grace. Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky, Bailey, and Lyra, which makes me think that maybe that Bailey Lyra match doesn't happen to Saturday Night's Main Event now. This is all live as I'm looking at right now. I'm kind of reading things as we're talking too, just to see what the latest rumors are, and also that tag match we were just talking about, Raquel and Roxanne versus 3 teams to be announced, which one of those teams could be Bella Twins.
Well, 2 teams to be announced. We already know Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair on.
Oh yeah, that's right, Alexa Bliss. That's right. Yeah,
yes, and Charlotte Flair.
That's weird.
They did announce, it's on a SmackDown that as of this recording hasn't aired yet, but it was filmed this past week in Pittsburgh. I have to say.
I didn't watch the spoilers because I want to watch them live. Watch them live, quote unquote.
Well, in order to prepare for this week's show, I seeked out some of those spoilers, obviously, to figure out what's happening at SmackDown. Here in the United States, it's a holiday, so it's really a perfect reason, as you know, why the talent is not there for people like myself to not sit in the house and watch wrestling on a Friday night. I am excited that it is only 2 hours, starting this Friday and forward, and what a perfect week to be 2 hours, because they filmed it right after a 2.5-hour Raw, so what a long night it was in Pittsburgh for those fans.
Getting their money's worth as well, though.
They are getting, and they're getting their money's worth. WWE definitely is charging up the wazoo, and they're making sure they're getting their money's worth. So we already know that 2 of the teams in this 4-team field here. So yeah, it's going to be 5 or 6 matches I'm looking at, which is all right. But it's just the Battle Royal, which is weird to me, is the winner goes to Clash in Paris. So that tells me that obviously, as we've seen with WWE lately, kind of booking multiple pay-per-views at once, there's going to be some big championship match that is going to, forego SummerSlam and move on to Clash at Paris instead and be defended there. And it's weird to me in general how, like, pay-per-views, specifically, these big ones like SummerSlam, they're all kind of just treated very equally now, in the sense of they're not really treated like one is bigger than the other, because, like, as I just mentioned with the Gunther situation, sometimes people like that just forego the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm going to defend my championship against Goldberg, but not at Money in the Bank. I'm going to skip and go ahead and do it at Saturday Night's Main Event. Or as we saw Money in the Bank, where Gunther became the champion, 2 days later, he did on a Monday Night Raw that was hyped up against Jey Uso. So it's just weird how they have these major events, but for the most part, like when somebody says that there's going to be a match, like Gunther and Goldberg say there's going to be a match, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be at this next upcoming pay-per-view. And with SummerSlam being the WrestleMania of the summer, it's just strange that, like these number 1 contender matches are for championship bouts, but like post SummerSlam, and like the fact that there's probably a lot of people on the roster that just skip SummerSlam because they're not there. Obviously, the Jey Usos, the Gunthers, the whoever was champions at Night of Champions that weren't on the card, those kind of people. So, it is that kind of weird thing in the sense that, like, I understand in Saudi Arabia, right? They only ship people out who are going to be on the cards, but it's just weird that something like a SummerSlam there would be somebody who's perfectly healthy, perfectly active, and the current champion, and just and not be on that card, or like a number 1 contender and not be on that card, and just literally thinking, I'm healthy, I'm on the show every single week, but I'm not going to be a part of that 2-night card. It's just weird how WWE is kind of like booking pay-per-views, like multiple pay-per-views at a time, instead of just like focusing on the one directly in front of us. The only time they ever did that before is if you won the Royal Rumble, you went to WrestleMania. And that's the only time they ever, like, that kind of thing foregoed.
Well, why the Clash
No
in
Way
Paris?
Out.
Why the Clash in Paris? That's weird.
I mean, they're trying to book Matt. It's going to be a big pay per view, but yeah,
It's kind of
it
random.
is.
That's a random one. Like, why wouldn't it be for the next? Why Clash and not something else?
I am very curious as we approach SummerSlam, the next major pay per view that features women and men. It is very curious. This is the first time ever they're booking 2 nights for that. But unlike WrestleMania, where it seemed like all roads lead to WrestleMania, obviously you can see we already have some people who are becoming number one contenders, like at Evolution, who won't be on the SummerSlam card. So there's going to be healthy, active champion contender wrestlers that are foregoing SummerSlam and moving on to the next thing. There's going to be matches that are probably announced a couple days in advance for the Raw after SummerSlam. Those kind of
and
things.
and here's the thing: we got a lot to figure. I mean, there's still a lot to figure out in the next 4 weeks before SummerSlam. I mean, SummerSlam's only a month away, which is insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, because it's early in the calendar year, and it's
Yeah.
it's insane to believe we're already in July. So it's insane to believe that SummerSlam is now less than 1 month away. The first 2 night SummerSlam and SmackDown and Raw, which will be in the New York City area, to bookend it. But one thing I want to take away from Evolution that I think is kind of unique. It's something that I don't see it like years ago happening. It's just I picked up on it, and it's different nowadays as the world evolves. But if I was like 12 years old and saw this, it would have made me chuckle, and it still kind of makes me chuckle now. And this event is sponsored by Maybelline, which is a historically well known women's like makeup brand. So like it's just strange to me because like with wrestling and WWE, we're so used to JVC Boombox and Lugs and THQ and Acclaim and Slim Jims and all these kind of brands that we're similar with, Prime nowadays. So for like this women's pay-per-view to literally the sponsor to be, and it's not even like a women's sponsor like of athletic gear or of some sort of like like of some sort of clothing brand that's, something that you think of when you think of wrestling. It's literally the same people who would sponsor some, like gala or a women's award show, that kind of thing. It's a very soft brand, if you will, because it's a women's makeup brand, but it's not, like I said, it's not a women's workout brand. It's not Under Armour, it's not Reebok, it's not like the UFC brand back in the day that
Well, they have,
athletic gear. It's not Tap Out.
Like I'm surprised they're not doing something with like Fabletics or like Lululemon. Like those are
Yeah.
more like female athletic brands, so to speak. Like those are more female, I guess.
Yeah, this is supposed to be women kicking ass at a pay-per-view, right? And it's sponsored. It's sponsored by a very, it's easy to a light brand, right? It's like it's not like a fair something. It's not like when the announcer
I'll play
calls
devil's
for it.
advocate. Kick-ass women wear Maybelline. There we go.
Well, yeah, well, yes, but I guess it's just whenever you see the commercials for Maybelline back in the day, whenever you see like the people when the pay-per-views start back in the day, remember they'd be like, and now THQ presents WWE Royal Rumble or something like that. It's like, and now Maybelline presents. Yeah, it's just very, more soft, very elegant, very silky,
I
very.
don't hate it. I think it's cool. I think you know what. I think
I mean, it's cool to have a women's brand essentially promoting a women's pay-per-view. I think that is interesting. I guess
I like it though. I do like that because it caters to the female audience. I think that's a really good thing.
And it just shows that literally WWE is doing what they've always wanted to kind of do, and that is be able to sell every kind of advertising and have something that appeals to every kind of sponsor. And this is a good example because I can tell you when I was 12 years old, if you ever thought, if no matter what the situation was, even if it was a woman's pay-per-view, if I ever thought, do you think like Maybelline is going to be sponsoring a WWE event? I'd say like those two brands are like so far. When I flipped through a Cosmopolitan magazine back in the day, I never saw any brands in there that I thought they would go great with WWF attitude, if you will.
Yeah.
So it just shows that like really anything, maybe,
Hey, they're evolving, so to speak.
yeah, maybe there'll be some WWE event in the future that'll just be all about the classiest, most elegant way to wrestle in the ring with very strict, finite rules, and it'll be sponsored by Dom Perignon or something. A gentleman's only kind of pay-per-view. But I think, as I alluded to at the start of the segment, the pay-per-view is, regardless of what you think, right? Regardless of how many people show up, regardless of what you think about Tony Khan or anything like else, AEW All In, right? This pay-per-view is it's AEW's WrestleMania, if you will. And I know AEW has a few different WrestleManias. It's hard to keep track. But I mean, Kenny Omega, Okada for the unified AEW, the inaugural AEW Unified Championship, as it's the Continental Champion Okada and the International Champion Omega, which I don't care about those elements at all. It's Okada, it's Omega. My question to you is, of all the matches on this card, with the Texas Death Match for the World Championship being between Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley, as well as other stuff going on, what should be the final main event of this card?
It's easy. Okada versus Omega. That's the easy answer.
Well, it's not the world title, so that's why it's not an easy answer. But I agree with you.
It is the easy answer if you're, if you want the best match to be to be the finale of your major pay-per-view. Like that, it makes too much sense. I don't care about, like you just said, I'm the same way. I don't care if it's, international versus continental champion and we're unifying the belts. Like we've seen that done a million times with millions of different organizations over there. It's like that's happened a lot over the years. But because of the two competitors, to me, I'm good with that. Like to me, and I've said this before, I've been saying this for the last few years. It also kind of gives me the vibes of like Mercedes Moné. Like it's like Mercedes Moné, Jon Moxley, like former WWE stars that, I mean, to be honest, these days, what kind of stars are they really? Like honestly, this Texas Death Match thing, it's like, oh, all right, Jon Mox is going to get bloody again. He's going to take a crazy spot again. It's like, to me, I want to see him evolve, so to speak. We were just talking about evolution. Like I want to see him evolve and I don't need to see gory stuff from him. I want to see good wrestling. That's what I want to see. And that's why I kind of like compare it to Mercedes Moné, because it's like, and I don't know if you saw, the recent clip where she was like, essentially attacking WWE fans, like calling them crybabies, like, well, you can watch me on AEW. Like, it's like, okay, great. We know you're on AEW, but your run hasn't been that great. Like, let's be honest. But back to the Jon Moxley part, like, great. We're seeing another death match. Like, I don't know. Hopefully we don't see anything stupid where like it's almost as bad as that pyro situation we had with the barbed wire. Remember the barbed wire
yes.
ropes that like were supposed to explode and it was like a dud,
during the pandemic. Yes, that was a very forgettable, exploding barbed wire death match. That was a great match, actually, a great match. Just boy, people are only going to remember what they went home on.
I mean, am I going crazy with the whole Jon Moxley thing? Like, do you agree with me, or you kind of disagree with me with the fact that all he's been doing is hardcore stuff lately?
Well, yeah, I think that's the kind of the shtick he's going. I guess the idea is just like, how long can you stretch this out? And, it's not like Roman Reigns when he was champion. He was champion in kind of like a different way, like a dominant way that really made you feel like he was invincible. He was the Brock Lesnar, the Roman Reigns, the Hulk Hogan, the guy who was just stronger than the others. But with Moxley, obviously, he resorts to just being like crazier and wilder, and also having the backup, right? So this Death Riders, right? They help out in every facet. So it's just like kind of the same story played out over and over again. Like, how is the Death Riders going to help Jon Moxley win this time? Kind of thing.
To me, it's run its course. I feel like it's. I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's just one of those things where it anytime I see Jon Moxley in a hardcore match, like all he does, it's like, I don't even like, I don't have interest. Like, I'm not interested in that match. I just am not. Like, it's like you just said, it's the same stuff over and over. Like you said, how is the Death Riders going to help him? And then on the other side of it too, it's, I just want to see Timeless Tony just beat Mercedes Moné. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, because Timeless Tony, to me, from her WWE days to where she is in AEW, she is one of those where she's gotten better in AEW. Like Mercedes Moné, her stock to me is down. Like, just from the transition, in my opinion. I just, again, I want to see Timeless Tony win because I really like what she's doing. I think she's a champion that AEW should just, hang on to as long as she can, as long as they can.
Mercedes Moné has been kind of quietly the TBS champion for 400 days now. So over a year.
Does anybody care about that, though? Does anybody care about the TBS championship?
Well, I mean, she's been quietly the TBS champion. I think they care. I think the TBS championship, I've noticed, is all about who's holding it. And with Mercedes Moné, I will say she is a main event player in the women's division in AEW for sure. And Jade Cargill, who had the AEW TBS championship for quite a while back in the day, I would say is another, she was a big star holding it. So it is about who is holding it. I don't think the title makes the person. I think the person just is the person and maybe makes the title more prestigious. And as we know, Mercedes Moné, she came right in and got that title. So she essentially is more prestigious than that title. But one
What though?
gimmick about her is being, all the belts. And this is an opportunity for her to have all the belts.
You know what I will say
Even
too.
more so.
Another match that's been announced already is Swerve and Osprey versus the Bucks. I'm interested in that. That's something I'll keep an eye on. I do want to see how that unfolds.
Do you think the Bucks will be stripped of their EVP titles if they, do you think they're going to lose this match and be stripped of those EVP titles?
I hope they do. I think it'd be a cool way to push them in a different direction, I guess, because like the way they've been going with the EVPs, it's run its course. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's the most flawless, awesome TV ever seen. But you get to a point where it's run its course, kind of like the Moxley stuff. And, the Bucks, I will give the Bucks credit over the years, whether it's in AEW or Ring of Honor. I feel like more times than not, they know how to time these changes and these transitions better than most. And that's why they've been so good as long as they have, because they know how to change directions at the right time more times than not.
Yeah, and the stipulation here as well, obviously, if Strickland and Osprey don't win, is they can't challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 year. So I don't know if Tony Khan, what he's got up his sleeve over there, but those are two people you want in your title picture. So I want Will Ospreay for the AEW World title sooner than later. So if I find out he can't challenge for a year, that's kind of a downer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's why that's the other thing too. That's why I think the Bucks will transition out of their EVP role, so to speak. I agree with you. I think Swerve and Osprey are needed for the world title picture, and having them on the sidelines per se out of that picture for a year just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's why I think the Bucks know it's time for them to change things up, and I think that's where it's going. And I think Swerve and I think Osprey are gonna win the match.
MJF and Mark Briscoe are early entrants in the Casino Gauntlet, and Chris Statlander is an early entrant in the women's Gauntlet match as well. How about MJF showing up at CMLL recently? I feel like that was to put it to WWE, because WWE and AAA are now in business together, and WWE is really heavily promoting AAA, and they have that kind of involvement. So AEW, to kind of show that they're in bed with CMLL and able to work together with that company and say, hey, we've got a Mexican company that we work very closely with too. Sent MJF, down there to make a surprise.
Hey, MJF's he's going to have a lot of popularity, even more so in the mainstream coming up with in a couple weeks, or actually a few weeks away at the end of the month. He'll be featured in the Happy Gilmore 2 that's going to be out on Netflix at the end of the month. So good time for MJF to keep things rocking and rolling, because he has, I don't know, I believe he's, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the character list in front of me, but I believe he actually plays one of Adam Sandler's sons, Happy Gilmore's sons in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I did see a clip where he's in it, so I'm curious to see what plays out, because you never know what Adam Sandler's got up his sleeve when it comes to celebrity involvement. So I think we'll see how things go, but I think with that on top of what's going on with MJF, with CMLL and what he's doing with the Battle Royal coming up, I think that, or the Gauntlet, excuse me, coming up, I think things are going to be good for MJF this month.
It's interesting that this pay-per-view is going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock local, this AEW pay-per-view in Texas. I don't really understand the idea behind that. I kind of get it that they had rumors that Saturday Night's Main Event was going to happen. But I mean, yeah, in the end, I don't know. I feel like, again, this is a strong enough card that you could go up against that.
I like it. I like it. You know why I like it? Because I could watch both.
True. And I do plan on probably finding some time in the afternoon. I did. I mean, it's very similar to, it's weird because All In the last 2 years was at Wembley Stadium, which was 3 p.m. local time in the United States. So for the third year in a row, I'll probably find myself at 3 p.m. local time watching AEW All In. This time it's not it's actually at the time that I'm watching it, which will be strange. So I'll definitely be checking that out, on Saturday, July the 12th. One thing Tony Khan did say is that this is a kind of a anomaly year, and that All In will be going back to Wembley in 2026. It's just that Coldplay, which is true, at the end of August, I think they have like 10 nights booked at Wembley Stadium, so they had the dates. But I guess it's kind of strange because what dates are you talking about? Because AEW clearly here is not in August. So it's not like, hey, they had the date in August booked that we wanted. So, we're going to have All In on that date in August. It's like they had the dates in August booked at Wembley. So we're going to have it in Texas in July. So it makes me wonder, like, could this have been in August or is Wembley booked now? I know big Oasis concerts, I think, are coming through there. But I mean, just the point is like, if it's booked, it's like saying, WrestleMania, you're like, we're going to go to New Orleans, but they're booked April 12th. So we're just going to go to Las Vegas instead in February. You're like, well, what was New Orleans doing in February? So I don't really understand how those things correlate. But, I'm curious next year when they go back, do you think they're doing it mostly just to give themselves a year off to kind of build that momentum up again so that the crowds kind of re-show up in England next year? Because that's kind of my theory.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. I think, absence makes the heart grow fonder, so to speak. So I think you're onto something there. And I think it's a good move by Tony Khan. I think if you keep doing it over and over and over again, you're going to get the London fans, the UK fans, the European fans as a whole, I guess, the European Union. There we go. That whole group of fans, there could be some exhaustion. So you know what? I think take a year off, maybe do it every other year going forward. So it's special, and I think that's a good formula.
If you could only watch one match live of these three major events we're talking about, and I'm going to give these three out there. It's going to be Rhea and Io, Gunther and Goldberg, or Okada and Omega. Which one are you picking?
Oh, easy. That's I got to go Omega and Okada. If you're giving me those three, I'll take that.
Yes.
But I am curious to see Seth Rollins LA Knight. That intrigues me a lot. I feel like it's time for LA Knight to get himself really infused into that main event picture, because he's kind of been dancing around the outside a little bit. He's getting there, but then he's not there. So this would be a good time, a good time for him to insert himself into that picture more so. And I think it'll be a good match.
I'm curious to see the one person who has worn out. I think they're welcome, but they're going to be back, I believe, right? Because I saw the preview, so I saw their face on it. I'm curious to see what is this, the fourth installment of Jesse the Body Ventura on Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm very interested to see what he has in store.
I can only imagine what he's going to say, because he says some random stuff all the time.
And each show, he just gets more random and random. So I'm waiting to see what he's got to say in Atlanta. He's probably going to say something related to Goldberg's career, which is like not true. Like, what a way to go out, Goldberg. Retirement in Atlanta, Georgia, a place you never got to wrestle before. And Michael Cole be like, well, actually in Atlanta, he's like 32-6 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Because, obviously that's Jesse the Body Ventura. But three huge events, less than like 30 hours between them, gonna happen to kick off the summer. And hey, competition, it's a good thing, and it helps create very good wrestling, and I can't wait.